What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Ring the Bell Philly show presented by SeatGeek. I am Christy Francesco. Jason and John are here. The Philadelphia Phillies beat the Milwaukee Brewers tonight to open their series against the third best team in the National League, that being the Milwaukee Brewers. The Phillies now have a 7-game lead in their division now, which is the best in the league. They are the best team in the National League still. They're right there with the Yankees
Wait,
as the best overall team.
I didn't.
Um,
They're what in the National League? They're
the
the
best
worst.
team.
Oh
No,
no, are you sure?
nope. I'm positive. I mean, it's
Gosh.
I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty certain we're good.
And who is the best team in the American League
The
and
New
in
York
baseball?
Yankees.
And their manager is horrible, according to you, correct?
He stinks.
Okay.
So they take the first game. They've taken the Phillies have taken the first game in 15 of their last 18 series. This was their lowest scoring win since May 1st over in Anaheim. They're 42-19, and they are 5-2 versus teams over 500. 3-0 against the Rangers, who would otherwise obviously be over 500. So, again, more narratives just continue to be smashed.
Well, the Rangers thing's a little different. They're not 500 right now because their team is absolutely depleted. That's a little different.
Yes.
They're missing their 4 best pitchers have been hurt all year, so it's been.
Yeah, and huge credit to Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler did tonight what aces do when they don't have their best stuff. He gutted through it. And the umpires. Yeah, and it was both sides, too. So in 13 starts this season, Zach Wheeler has allowed 0 to 1 runs 7 times. He finishes the night with a 2.23 ERA, gets another win. 116 pitches. Again, his stuff wasn't pristine like we're used to seeing. He was just a couple pitches away from the most pitches of his career, which is 120. So he almost got there, but in 7 innings, he threw a lot of pitches in those final 2 batters or so. But look, he got the job done. Again, that's what aces do when they get out of those jams, only giving up 1 run. Again, the Phillies win 3-1. Rhys Hoskins, his first game back, hit a home run that's about 350 feet right over the wall in the first row or so. Good for Rhys. That's cool. I mean, I don't care. The fact of the matter to me is the Phillies beat the Brewers. I could care less. I mean, I'm sorry if I sound like an a-hole about that. I could care less what Rhys Hoskins does. So most importantly, again, the Phillies beat the Brewers. So, all right. So this show is going to be about a couple things, and if it doesn't get heated, then none of these two are allowed back following this week. Because if I was able to turn a text message thread today into video and audio, it would probably be the best thing we've ever done. So the good thing is now we're all kind of technically face to face, and this is something that we can talk about because the Phillies are 42-19, best team in the National League. Basically, I still think overall they're better than the Yankees, so I would still consider the Phillies the best team in baseball. If I look at the starting rotation for the Phillies through 61 games, in 80 and a 2/3 innings, Zach Wheeler 2.23 ERA, in 77 innings, Nola 3.03, 74 innings, Ranger 170, 60 innings, Christopher Sanchez 2.83, and then 32 innings for Spencer Turnbull. He had a 1.67 ERA and somehow lost his job. So, we'll probably get into that as well. That'll be on top, number one topic there for John in a few moments. So here's what I'm going to lay out for everyone because I'm going to play moderator. And if I have to come in at a certain point, if I really disagree with certain things, I'm going to wait for that person to stop talking. And I'm going to come in. I'm going to talk. If I agree, I'm going to do the same thing. But this battle that went on today was realistically between John and Jason. And look, it's a very fair one. It's something that isn't just going on here. This is something that, I see on social media all over the place. I posted something on our Facebook page a week or so ago, and Topper was attacked, and they were the best team in baseball at that point. So it's not a singular entity being John who has these thoughts about Rob Thompson, and we really got to get talking about it because the Phillies. They got contributions today from David Dahl, hit a home run. Weston Wilson's up here for a little bit because Brandon Marsh is on the IL. So is Cody Clemens. So look, the Phillies are finding ways to still produce offense, even when their big guns aren't, producing. Alec Boehm has been horrendous the past 2 weeks or so, even more than that. I think his batting average might even be under 300 right now. Past month, yeah.
He's been bad. He's hitting like 210 in the last 30 games.
In his last 15 games, he's hitting 185. So it's not been good for Alec Boehm since that.
Yeah, he was hitting 200 in his last 15 before today. So that sounds about right. 285,
yeah,
185.
All right. So here's the deal. John thinks Gabe Kapler is a better manager than
I never
Topper.
said those words. Never said those words.
That's what I heard.
I said Gabe Kapler is a terrible manager, and he was winning games, and he had less of what Topper had.
Okay, so let me just get started. John's going to have the floor first. He is a staunch hater of Rob Thompson. And then once John is done, I'm going to go over to Jason for the rebuttal, and then I'm going to have a rebuttal as well. And that's where we're going to go from there. We're going to talk about, at the end of the day, is this a manager issue? Is this a management issue? It's crazy that we're talking about.
Is there not a goddamn issue?
That's the other thing we're going to end up talking about here. So, John, the floor is yours. You will not be interrupted. So just fire away.
Well, there's a few things. I don't think Thompson's a great manager. I really don't. I think this team is surrounded by all-star talent throughout the lineup and throughout the pitching staff at this point. We might even have 4 all-star starting pitchers on this team. Alvarado is going to be an all-star bullpenner, maybe even Hoffman possibility. And then you pretty much all-stars through the lineup this year at this point. It looks like Boehm's going to get his first one. JT's going to be another one. Castellanos has been in the past. Looks like Schwarber's going to be an all-star once again. Harper, obviously, probably going to be an all-star. I would assume this year he finally gets back in there on the first try and doesn't have to reject it because he didn't get there on the first try. Mm-hmm. And then they pretty much all-star. And Turner would have been an all-star. I don't know if he's going to be anymore because he's been hurt a while, but he was probably going to be. He's on his way to being another all-star. And he's been an all-star in the past as well. So it's filled with all-stars. And their reason why they're successful is because of the players that are on the field is the reason they're successful. And I don't ever see a reason why. When were you like, wow, Thompson really won that game for them today? But we definitely know when Thompson lost on that game for them. And then there's just things that have happened the past year. I mean, he's sticking with Rojas, and he had 1 hit in the entire, or 2 hits or whatever it was, 3 hits in the playoffs, and hit 1.050 or something. He's horrible in the playoffs, and it's continually sticking with him stuck with him in the playoffs, and he's continually sticking him with right now. There's nothing wrong with going up to, if you go up to manager and say, hey, I think he can be a guy, but he needs to go get and refigure it out in the minor leagues. That's what a coach does. You coach him up to, he needs to go figure it out in the minor leagues real quick, and then we'll call him back up before the season's over. There's nothing wrong with that. Boehm got sent down. Stott got sent down, and they came back up and they figured things out. His handling of Kimbrel in the playoffs was horrible last year. He's not an 8th inning guy, and he was continually pitching him in the 8th inning, and he was blowing games left and right. His bullpen management is poor, and even today you could have said it's kind of been poor. Obviously, Wheeler did not have it at all. And his pitch count was getting way up there. Why did he go out there 1 extra inning? And we're lucky it didn't come back to haunt him. He got lucky it didn't come back to haunt him. He struggled with the last 2 batters of the game. It worked. Yes, it worked out. But there's times you did say that, and I agree with you. You pointed it out. I agree with you. But there's times where it doesn't work out. It just doesn't work out, and it happens all the time. Let's see. The team in the playoffs was clearly not motivated to play against the Diamondbacks. They cared more about beating the Braves in the playoffs last year than they cared about anything after that at that point. And that's on top of not getting them ready to play a team who was very hot going into that series than the Diamondbacks. They just thought they had a cakewalk because it was the Diamondbacks, and they really weren't that good of a team. Stott, why does Stott get so many days off? Like, why? What's the point when a guy hits better versus lefties? If you want to give him a day off against a righty, by all means, I'm not going to complain. But when a guy clearly throughout his career and this year is a better hitter versus lefties, Why is it you're giving him those days off? And when there's those series where they're facing 3 lefties, he gets 2 days off. Why? And then I don't credit him for Ranger or Sanchez's development. I give that to Caleb Compton and the entire pitching staff. I give that to Caleb Compton. The hitters, I definitely don't give credit to him. That's Kevin Long, and I'm even questioning, is Kevin Long doing a good job, because Rojas is not progressing that much, even though he had a couple hits today. Pache, he was a top 12 prospect. The Braves gave up on him. The Braves usually don't give up on many players, and they gave up on him. Marsh, Marsh is horrible against lefties again all of a sudden. What's going on there? And Castellanos is continually declining, and Merrifield is just not the player he was. But I'm with Chris on that one, where I just think it might be a situation where he's a guy who played every single day his entire career pretty much. He barely missed any games. And now all of a sudden he's coming off the bench. There could be a thing where he just needs to play and get going. And that could be a thing maybe we start to see with these guys being out. Fielding, Bobby Dickerson. He's one of the best fielding coaches in the game. He's out there. He's made Alec Boehm a comparable third baseman who was absolutely horrible when he first came up. Again, he's sticking with Walker. Why? Turnbull has been unbelievable. Walker's horrible. And all 3 of us were there last night. And I don't know if this was your first Walker game, but you could hear it in the stands, and I'm sure you could hear people around you like, why is this guy here? Why is he boo, boo,
Not
boo,
in my
boo.
section.
Jay's section was completely drunk.
What's it called? He didn't build this team. I don't think he built this team. I think this is a Clemtek and Nebraska team. Clemtek couldn't finish the job. Dave Nebraska came in and finished the job. Now there's still questions because Nebraska can't put a bench together, and that's been a problem. That's been a problem in recent years. He needs to be able to figure out how to put a bench together, but he didn't. Thompson obviously built the team, so there's no credit for him, developing all these players and everything. He just came here and took the job because it was given to him when a coach was fired. I think he's too loyal to his players at time. It's great. You need to be loyal to your players. You need to be able to, because Girardi was not loyal to his players at all. And there was times in last year, you could see it last year. I even heard this on the radio today because they were talking again. Topic was a conversation topic of conversation. Last year, when 2 years ago, when it was against the Brewers, when Hader struck out Schwarber on a pitch that was horrible, called by Angel Hernandez, classic Angel Hernandez. Schwarber absolutely lost his mind, and I think it was like a 1-run ball game. I can't remember the score, but Schwarber lost his mind and got ejected. And Girardi doesn't. That's the perfect time for Girardi to go out there and show, I got your guys back. I got your guys back. And he didn't even get ejected to defend his player, who was completely right, because Angel was horrible, as he's always horrible. And then, but Topper doesn't have that happy medium where he can sit there and go to you need to let you're not running the ball out, because there's times where guys just don't run the ball out. Harper does it all the time. You're sitting down, you need to run the ball. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you're a professional baseball player. Lead by example. There's tons of guys who just don't run the ball out all the time. You can notice it. I didn't notice it today, but there's plenty of times where they don't run the ball out. Rojas, obviously, benching him one game after he had a horrible game was lackadaisical in the field. You bench him for one game, and then you put him back. You don't even bench him for the whole game, because you put him back. You put him in the game to go play center field later in the game. What does that show to a guy that you're still going to play him even though, I'm going to sit you for the day? That just looks like a routine day off at that point. And then another example of how he's so loyal. He's loyal to a guy who just came back, Rhys Hoskins. During the off spring training, he goes, "This team would be better if Rhys Hoskins was on." He said it, his exact words. This team would be better if Rhys Hoskins. You don't need to say that. What does that say to a guy like Rojas, who's basically replacing him at this point, or other guys who are replacing him at that point? Because you're just saying you don't have trust in them, that they can't be as good as Rhys Hoskins. Like, you don't say that. You can say, Rhys helped us out a lot, but I think we have a great team here. There's something simple like that. But they're given to a guy who's not even part of the organization anymore. Like, oh, we would be so much better. Like, we'd be better with him on our team. Like, that, and I pointed that out earlier in the season. What else do we have? He makes pitching changes that are questionable at times and stuff like that. I've been through that already. Another thing too, but this is never going to change, and I know Jason's going to roll his eyes on this one. You have guys going to hit probably 40 home runs a year. And he's hit 22 solo home runs in 3 years with the Phillies. So obviously those solo home runs, it's
Jason's on your side with that one. He'll never be against you on that one.
But I'm not
so you know.
Roll your eyes on it. But seriously, once you want a guy who's going to hit 35 home runs and probably going to drive in 100 RBIs again, imagine what that dude's going to do when he's batting the 4-hole. Are you serious? Like, this makes no sense. And then, as always, this has been a problem that I can't really blame Topper on this one. You can, because he can try to coach it out of him, but base running is horrible for this team all the time. Like, why are their guys getting picked off all the time? They take the extra base. They just look lost out there at times. Now you can coach it out. Girardi tried it with his first year because he's making them run the bases to remember how to run the bases, but that obviously didn't work. So, but you got to do something or hold these guys accountable for when they're doing stupid things like that on the field, because that stuff can come back to haunt you at times.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and that's all I have.
All right, Jay, it's your turn for your stance.
Okay. Like, do I even need the rebuttal? Like,
yes.
Okay.
You said so much today that wasn't here.
Here's what the best part is, Mr. John McAvoy. What you've just said is the most. No, I'm not going to do Billy Madison, dude. But like, he's given me last year's games. A manager's the reason my 4-hole hitter goes 0 for 4. Let's run through the last playoff games, and this has nothing to do with Topper. You can't win a goddamn game. Game 3, they lost. Kyle 0 for 3. Turner 1 for 4. Bryce 0 for 2. Bone 1 for 4. Casty 0 for 4. JT 0 for 4. 3 hits. Game 6. Kyle 0 for 2. Turner 0 for 4. Harper 0 for 4. Casty 0 for 4. JT 1 for 4.
All right.
Only had 6 hits. I gave you your time. You stop. No. Nola gave up 4 runs. Game 7, Harper 0 for 4. Turner 0 for 4. 5 hits. Ranger gave up 3 goddamn runs. You talk about Kimbrel, the way he was using the playoffs. Last year, up until the game, he gave up 3 runs. The one bad game, he had one real actual bad game where he gave up 3 runs. The dude hadn't given up a damn run before that. So you're saying his misuse of Craig Kimbrel in the playoffs, there was no misuse. He got one bad game where he gave up 3 runs. And in the last game where he gave up the other run where they lost by a run, they had 3 hits and scored 1 run that game. If the offense did their job the way they're built, they don't lose that game. So you can sit here and talk about the misuse of the playoffs. And most of those games, they were running through the one game, I believe game 7, they had to run through all the relievers. So you're talking about using Kimbrel at the end of that game in game 7, where they already ran through every reliever they had. Like, he's one of the last guys up. But it's just like, in your complaint, like but their other guy, Kirkring, gave up runs. The way you're putting him in there, they're giving up runs. Right. Topper can't go out and hit the goddamn ball. I don't care what manager you are. You can say what you want to say. At the end of the day, these are professional damn athletes. The manager can't make them go out and play any damn harder. If you can't get yourself up for a goddamn game 7 of the NLCS when you just lost the World Series the year before, that's on you. That's not on the goddamn manager. I don't care what moves you make when your offense goes goddamn ice cold for 4 straight games or 3 straight games in that damn series, when they had it locked up and we don't lose at home. And they shit the bed in game 6 and they shit the bed in game 7. Don't sit here and tell me that's Rob Thompson. Don't tell me that's anybody other than that damn players. I don't care what you say. You're about to go to the goddamn World Series. I shouldn't have to motivate you. I don't want to hear that. And your talk about this year, the Walker issue, listen, I agree. Everybody knows Turnbull should have stayed in and ran the course. Nothing we can do. We know, yes, I understand. Hopefully management sees this and they decide to make a move. Do I 100% believe it's Topper making that decision? No, I really don't, because Topper's the same guy that left him out all last year in the playoffs. So I think this is a management issue. You're paying the guy $20 million. Let's get the worth for him for the season because you're paying him. We're already good enough. Yes, we're fine. Let's get some innings out of him and eat him up throughout the season. If he gets hurt, we have Turnbull. We got lucky with that signing. Rojas, I'm 1,000% against benching. Like, I get it. The dude's batting 226. We all said 226 would be pretty good. I think today, and you said we're all there Sunday, we all saw him made a pretty damn good diving catch. We saw him hose reset Hoskins today at home. We see him make play after play. Yes, there are a little bit, he has had a couple this season, but I think the defense you have there, I'm not going to be playing Cody Clemens over him. Your idea of putting Sosa and this guy in the outfield and playing somebody no, I don't want to move Trey. I don't want to move guys like Bryce. Your point on Bryce, he's going to be spending the rest of his career there. Sosa's not going to be spending the rest of his career at left field. Leave the offense alone right now. There's no reason to mess with it. I understand now you got some injuries. My thing is right now, you don't have to. We have till the All-Star break. Let's see what we have. Let's see, maybe Casty breaks out of it. Give him some time. We know what that guy's been throughout his career. Rojas, yeah, I want more. I'm okay with a platinum defensive gold glove guy back there with that hose. Marsh, he's starting to struggle. Maybe you go and look. Maybe you see if you can get an outfield. If you can get an outfielder at the deadline, that's a need. Yes, you go get one. But right now, there's no reason to really mess with it. I'm not sold on Cody Clemens. I think the big issue, and I think we all agreed on it with Merrifield, is the issue with him. Like, he's not. We've all said it. I think we said not getting the playing time. Mm-hmm. He's not. He's been a guy throughout his career. When you look at it, and they said he led the league in hits so many times, steals bases. He maybe can't transition into that bench player where he plays every so often. He's not getting every day at bats. It's a tough issue. But again, Topper can only put out the guys he gives you, the management gives you. When you're talking Paches who are getting to throw out there, we signed Witt for $9 million. He's not really playing up to the way he is. Marsh goes down. You didn't expect Turner to go down. Sosa's a great ad. But there's no real reason when everybody's back and healthy. Yes, that opening day lineup is the lineup I want until they make a significant trade. If they're not making a significant trade, this is the team I want. And I think you have your 4 going into the playoffs and you eat with it. I still agree. We need to make a move for a bat, not a bat, but an outfield. I think an outfield. If you want to give me somebody for Marsh and have Marsh and Rojas kind of split time in center field, I'm fine with that. If you get a corner outfield bat, I think that's the move. But other than that, I really can't complain. Like, what has Topper done? He so far in his managerial career, he took over for Girardi and took a team to the World Series. He took a team to everybody up until game 4 of the NLCS. Everybody had the Phillies favored to win the World Series. That's how damn good that team was playing. Like, you can't say, oh, well, it's not him when they're hitting. Well, he didn't cause that. Go ahead.
Bring up one point real quick.
Go ahead.
Then what's the point of having a manager if he's not preparing these guys to be ready to play every day and motivate to be the best player that they could possibly be? Then what's the point of having a guy?
No, I think there's a point you have a manager say stuff, but at that point, you're in the NLCS. There's no reason if you can't get up for that. If I'm Bryce Harper and my career, I've been dreaming of this moment since I was a child, and I can't get up for Game 7 of the NLCS. I've been playing this game since I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at goddamn 15 years old. If I can't get myself up for this game, what am I doing in this game? Why am I here? I don't care about a manager. Why am I here?
But then also, I don't think Topper is that guy that does that goes that extra mile, who's hard on these guys. Like, let's go. Like he doesn't have that rah in him.
I think behind doors he may be. I think behind doors they hear from them. They listen to him. I don't need a manager. I don't want my manager to be something he's not. Chase Utley was never a guy that was going to talk. He was going to go out and do it. Jimmy was the talker. Ryan was your dude on the field. Boom, he's been hitting your home runs. You knew what the position was. I know what Topper is. I'm okay with him not doing it publicly. Yeah. I'm fine with that. If I'm sure with the respect I hear from the players, when I hear Marsh at the end of the interviews, and they even mentioned it. Topper's our guy. When I hear the players saying that, that's what I need to hear. They respect him. I don't care what anything else. I don't want to hear they're not playing. They play their hearts out for this fucking guy. Sorry for the language, but I'm just a little like, come on. If you can't get yourself up for Game 7 of NLCS for a chance to go win the World Series again, that's on you. That's not on a manager. That's on nobody but yourself. And with the guys, I do think it's upper management pushing Walker for rotation this year. And then I think it'll be the same thing. Come playoffs, he's not going to go.
But then again, with that, if they're pushing for him, why can't Topper? Then that's a problem. If they're pushing, why can't Topper say no?
No, because you're paying this guy. No, come on. That's
that's
business 101. Let's not act like that doesn't play into it.
Like, what are you going to do? Fire me because I'm not starting this $20 million guy because he's not performing? Like, what are you going to do? Fire you're saying,
but that's he didn't start him last year.
He did in the playoffs. He didn't start him, but then all of a sudden he's back in his
But why does it? Why is he back? Is it? When are you going to pick your battles?
It's an investment.
Pick your battles. Yeah, you can't. It's business 101. You're paying the guy $20 million
any way that they can. Look, at the end of the day, Jay, are you good? Are you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Like most of the other
we're gonna get into
it's trivial. It's all trivial things that to me. It's he's playing the team he's been given. You can't You lost Trey Turner, who's going hot. You know, you're having some things, and you're still running up there. So he's doing what he's supposed to do.
But I think that's more of all the hitters going down.
How many Hall of Fame managers never had Hall of Fame players? That's just because you said he has a lot of All-Stars. How many Hall of Fame managers never had All-Stars or Hall of Famers? 0. That's how many. So don't give me that BS. He's got a lot of Hall of Fame players. A lot of Hall of Fame managers had a lot of All-Star players.
I don't think there's not many teams you can go down through the history that have had a team like this Phillies team.
I can look at 2 right now. The goddamn Dodgers and the freaking Yankees. What are you talking about?
And the Braves.
We have a guy over here who said, Chris, who said that.
But you're sitting here saying how many teams go down. We just named 3 teams that are this good this year. So a lot of teams have.
Yankees don't. Lineup-wise, the Yankees aren't close to the Phillies. Besides Soto and Judge, who else do they have? Volpe? That's about it. 3 guys.
He's doing well, and Giancarlo's hitting well this season.
But that's why I said I think overall there's look. I think the Yankees are big time overachievers. I think the Phillies are as good as their record says that they are. There's a difference there.
Yes, I agree. I 100% agree with you on that one, Chris. Like I think the 100% it's that the Phillies are that their lineup and their pitching stats.
And I think honestly, if you're being honest with yourself, the Dodgers have overall. I think their lineup's probably better than ours. When you look at Mookie and Ohtani and Will Smith and Freeman, I think that 4 it blows any 4 we have out of the water.
Well, I mean, Freeman's having a really tough time this year.
Yeah, but
I also think as you go down the lineup, the Phillies get better.
Our 245 hitter.
What no, you can't. No, stop. You knock it off. Knock it off because you just gave me all the bullshit that they need to bench everybody in that goddamn outfield. You can't sit here to make your argument. That's my point.
That Dodgers team though too.
Pages who had an amazing season when he came in. Don't you can't give me. See, this is my problem, John, because you sit here and argue one thing, and now that I brought up the Dodgers lineup, and you're saying how great they are, and I'm saying they're not that good. You're telling me how great they're doing, but in another sentence, you'll tell me you want them all on the bench.
I want Rojas on the bench. I'm like, and then there's no reason why Castellanos is not getting days off. He's hitting 210 whenever he's hitting them after today's game. There's no reason why these guys should.
He's getting paid $20 million a year.
Oh, yeah, he hasn't had a single off day all this year though. Why can't he get an off day to reset? Hard reset. Give him a quick off day. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with giving a guy an off day. You give all these other guys off days. Don't give Harper an off day. I really don't. Unless his back's bothering him, I don't really.
I mean, his last month, Cassie is hitting 255.
Well,
that's
fine. I mean, look, I'm not trying to defend the guy, but look at the end of the day, right now.
But hold on, let's go back to the Dodgers thing. You're telling me the 5 guys after the Dodgers are the Phillies guys are still not better than the 5 guys after the 5 guys down after the 4-hole hitter. The Phillies are not better than them.
Well, I think you have Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Will Smith. I think that's a pretty damn good 1 through 5. And I think the next 4, Max Muncy's pretty decent. He hits home run. Like he's a Kyle Schwarber type of guy. You're sitting here. They have a Max Muncy who's Kyle Schwarber. Like and that's the dude that's not even in their top 5. So what are we talking about? Max Muncy's just going to hit bombs and bat the same way. He's going to maybe have a little bit less home runs. His average is going to be a little bit better. And that's one of the guys in your conversation for the Phillies. That's what I'm saying.
223 right now.
Let's go. I just want to go down real quick. So we'll go through lead up why. I just want to go through just the thing. We'll all sit here and we'll agree on who's we'll go lead off bets.
Well, obviously, yes.
All right, so we'll go 1 for the Dodgers.
Yep.
Turner or Ohtani?
Ohtani.
And then we'll go, or do you want to go, should we go positional wise or should we do that way?
It doesn't matter. Just go.
Just go down your lineup.
Freeman or Harper?
Harper.
This season, Harper, yes.
Harper. All right. Bohm or who's their 5 guys Smith?
I would probably go Smith. He's got the power. He's going to have power. If you put him at 5 in this lineup, I think this lineup probably is a little bit better.
Man,
I like that.
What Bohm has showed what he can do offensively, that's pretty attractive.
Will Smith has shown it, and he's a catcher. Yeah. Like those numbers, I like. Listen, I'm just saying, like you're.
Do you want to just JT's back in the 4. Let's go JT and Smith. How about we do that?
Okay.
I think that's an easy. Let's do that one instead.
Oh, shit.
That's Will Smith. Easy, no day, every day. Right now, offensively, it's easy. Chris, there's no question about it right now offensively. You don't even have to think about it. Knock it off.
I would probably, I'll go Will Smith.
Same here. And then I would go, then we'll go boom.
Okay. No, so just, their last game. If you look, let me see their lineup because you want the real lineup. Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Hernandez. Okay, so that doesn't have their other guy. Let's go Saturday night. Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Will Smith. Who am I missing?
Pages hasn't been playing a lot.
At their prime, Ohtani's going to hit as many home runs as almost anyone on this team and has many RBIs. Freeman's having an off year, but he's going to have pretty close. Mookie Betts was in talks for MVP this season. He's having such a good season. Will Smith, he's dropping a little bit, but he's still hitting 294, 9 home run. Like their
Gavin
power
Lux,
numbers are more than ours.
Stott over Gavin.
Yeah,
I'm definitely taking Stott over Gavin.
Yep.
But I'm just saying you're saying there's nobody on our level. There's many teams. I think there's a few teams out there that are on this team's level. Like the Dodgers pitching probably isn't as good as ours, but offensively, I still like what the Dodgers because I think Ohtani, Sono, and Judge are better than any two we have. So you can say after that, but if you have those two there, you can really fill in the rest of that team the way it looks and be pretty good and be a good team, hit just as well as this team. So it is a powerhouse, but it needs help. It does need help. You're the one, and you argued it needs help. This is what makes me so mad. You argued it needs help, and now you tell me how great it is.
Because I want them to
you can't tell me they're the best
team.
And say they need help, dude.
I want them to be an unbeatable team.
They're not going to be that. They'll never be that. To be that, you're going to have to be MLB The Show. There's no move you can make that's going to make you that good.
There's going to be an all-star available that they can be willing to give up prospects to get and make this team completely better by the trade deadline.
I agree with that, of course. I mean,
and then
I don't need.
But there's going to be other teams going after him. That's the point.
I don't look, John. You and I kind of talked about this last night, and I don't need an all-star. A Matt Vierling on this team right now would be an upgrade. The guy's hitting really 290, 295 this year?
Like 8 home runs.
No. Yeah, I
think he's batting leadoff for them too. So
I like him better than I like Brandon Marsh. I mean, people are obsessed with Brandon Marsh because he's a fun guy and all that, but his production's not there. His production's just not there.
Right, that's why I think they need a guy off the bench.
But here's the thing: you make a move for a BS guy like that. He had him in here. He didn't do great. You're going to give up something to get this guy, and he's going to crap the bed here. If you're making a move, to me, you said it, and you sent that damn article. If you're making a move, I don't want a bullshit move. You need to go get me Kyle Tucker. That's what you need to do. You need a move like that. That's the move. You need to go get somebody big that's going to come in and contribute in this damn lineup and be a bopper. That's what you need. I don't want a bullcrap bench move. If you could do that in addition to.
Right.
But no, that's not my number one move. My number one move is making, getting another number one starter in here, getting a huge outfield bat, or getting a top of the line closer. That's my move. I
think the lineups that's from what we saw, it's only going to be lineup. It's going to be the hit outfielder from what I've seen.
Listen, Astros, if they're not in it, they could very well move Tucker. And if I'm the Phillies, listen, how often are you here? I get prospect. I get you want him to bring him up, and I get he's a free agent next year, but you get him in here and you can sign him. You get the first talk to, and you add that bat to this lineup. That's a move I give up. Probably, I give up Painter +1 to go get Kyle Tucker.
We've talked about too is because is the Schwarber going back to the outfit? I do want to bring that up too, because if there's a I don't know why you roll your eyes because there's situations like say the Astros don't want to give up Tucker, but they're willing to give up a Yordan Alvarez. Who would you? And you have to DH Yordan or you have to DH Schwarber, but maybe Schwarber's a better.
Then I have an issue with management for putting me in that position.
Right,
that's my issue. No, I understand what you're saying, but my issues with management for giving me Casty. No, because you already signed Casty that offseason.
Right.
Or once you had Schwarber, I think Casty was signed Schwarber was signed for it first, wasn't he? And then Casty was signed that offseason.
Schwarber was first. Yep.
My issue was that offseason signing both of them. So my issue, I've already put that on the record. My issue goes back to management with signing two guys you can't play in the outfield, and you weren't sure. I think even we had talked about getting Harper out of the outfield before they'd even signed both of those guys. So the move was already Harper DH or Harper first. Now you sign two dudes that can't play outfield. So I understand what you're saying, but my issue will always be management because they put themselves in this position to have bullshit in the outfield that can cost us in playoff time.
Okay, but my thing is, if those situations arise and you have to put Schwarber in the outfield, are you okay accepting that? Like,
no, I'm not.
You're not.
No, I'm pissed off at management I'm not okay with it. No, you're asking me. No, I will never be okay with it. They won't win the World Series if Kyle Schwarber's our starting left fielder. I will guarantee you that.
You're bringing up Yordan Alvarez, who would never be a Philly. I mean, he plays left field.
He does. He's an everyday starter.
No, yeah, he plays every day. So why?
Yeah, but he's like a Schwarber out there. He's like a Schwarber out there.
A little bit better.
Not much better.
Look,
but listen, that's my point. But
again, a guy that can hit 315.
That goes back to a management issue, putting yourself in this position to not give yourself enough athletes. That has nothing to do with my manager. My manager is that bullshit lineup, having Kyle Schwarber lead off every day. I'll give you 1,000%. I'll give you that. Yeah. My issue with player wise is always going to be management.
And look, and kind of go back, to bring up one of the first points that you made, John, is Whit Merrifield. Since 2017 through last season, he averaged 555 at-bats per season. This year, he's pacing barely over 300. So I think this is a guy who, in his whole career, has thrived off of getting 3 to 4 at-bats every single night. And I think this is a huge transition for him. And I think, he's going to get a lot more time now, I assume. This is going to be very important.
And why wasn't he out there tonight in left field? I'm not going to take it. I made the right move. The guy who put out there left field won him the game. But why wasn't he out in left field, though? He's the guy who's been on the roster every single day.
You know what? I mean, it's a great point. Why is Whit Merrifield not in the lineup 2 days in a row when you have that? I mean, you gave him $9 million.
You just put a guy up who had to travel and do all that. They even said on the broadcast he had to go back to the Lehigh Valley after getting off a plane or a bus or whatever to get his passport, do all this different things.
That tells me more about Whit, though, than it does.
That's a good point, too.
Topper. That tells me more about Whit than Topper.
I think it's also that's an analytic. That's an analytic move. That might be an analytic move. Maybe he hasn't historically been good against that pitcher. Who knows? At this point, I mean, that's a question that we probably won't get answered. I don't think I don't think reporters are asking Topper after today what's going on with Whit Merrifield. So, all right, so we're 38 minutes into this thing here, and I kind of wanted to break it down to. I'm going to kind of bring up my thoughts on this. I'm going to kind of bring this whole train back around on where I think where the issues are on this team. Look, John, I love you. I do. Jason, I love you. John, I've had the feeling for a while, and you can please correct me if I'm wrong. It's an assumption, and we all know what happens when us men assume things, right? My assumption on you is I think you enjoy their losses more than you enjoy the fun and the victory of I think you have been raised from a sports perspective to be negative first, and then maybe positivity and optimism will come afterwards.
Well, I think
you enjoy the misery.
When you deal with heartbreak your entire life,
I understand.
Wait a minute. You're like 25, right?
25, yeah.
You've seen a World Series and you've seen a Super Bowl. What are you talking about?
I watched the Super Bowl.
You haven't dealt with half of the heartbreak. Okay, but you don't have to deal with half the heartbreak that other real fans have.
Break my heart every single year.
But you didn't watch them lose as much. You got to see 2 championships, bro. 2 championships.
I mean, you got 2 championships in less than 25 years. It took me 22 years to see one. So
two already.
Yeah, I mean, so look, I get the feeling by your the fact that you even brought up Gabe Kapler to me is like you're looking for something to be negative about.
But I'm not being negative about the Gabe Kapler thing. I'm saying Gabe Kapler is a horrible manager. He was winning games. Like you said, Aaron Boone's a horrible manager, and yet he has the same winning percentage as Topper. Like I don't think it's.
And how many years? And how many years does Aaron Boone have that record? Have that record? He's been the manager there for how long?
2018, I believe.
Okay, so this
and
is
he's
a guy.
Had the same winning percentage as Topper, and he was. I think his first year as a manager, he was in the 17. He was his first year, I think, as manager because he was with the cheating thing where they, when they went to the LCS. Right. So you could easily say like he would have had I still think they can cheat. I don't really care if he ain't cheating, he ain't trying, so it doesn't bother me at all. But I could people say like the Yankees got robbed of a World Series appearance, and who knows what they could have won a World Series, and he could be a World Series champion at this point. But you say he's a horrible manager too, yet he's winning the same amount of percentage of games as Toppers, and he's done it longer. So that means it's even more impressive that he's doing it even longer. Joe Torre
was terrible too. I think Joe Torre was terrible. I think La Russa kind of sucked.
I mean, they all had teams, but look,
exactly.
Right. So, all right, so to John, I'm not trying to pick on you, but you're the one that talks the most in terms of going against. Like I've never seen. Okay, I'm not never because I see the WIP poison that comes around the city and the fan base. I feel like you're not happy that you have the best baseball team in the world right now. And that you're looking for things to complain about.
They need to be better in the outfield, and I see that. And what am
I agree.
Am I supposed to say yay, we're the best team?
That's a goddamn terrible way to live life.
The best team. I watched the Mets 2 years ago be the best team in baseball and absolutely collapse. I watched the Phillies collapse in the playoffs last year. So who says they can't collapse right now?
I agree, but they're not. Why can't?
Why are you worried about what could happen tomorrow? Live today for their winning. You may not be here tomorrow. You could go outside and get hit by a damn bus, and you're so worried about what they didn't do tomorrow that you're not enjoying today. Yeah, I'm gonna now you understand. I'm gonna not kill you though. I'm gonna get you a coma. We'll bring you back, and then you'll enjoy every moment.
In NFL history, I have a reason to be pessimistic on these
No, you
issues.
don't.
You have no control over any of it. Okay, all right. Now I want to bring up my opinion on Topper and the organization as a whole, because I have two different schools of thought. I have two different opinions on both of them. Topper, and I kind of feel this way about baseball managers as a whole. I think if you're talking to me about all four major pro sports, I think baseball, maybe even I think baseball has the second least amount of impact outside of basketball, because basketball is run by players. It's a players' league. Coaches are meaningless. And I think with baseball, it goes into exactly what Jason said. Dude, once you get that glove on or you get that bat in your hand, John, it's up to you now. It has nothing to do with anything your manager is telling you or saying. It's now your job. Baseball is an individual sport. When you can make the best lineup on God's green earth for a World Series or an NLCS or a game, but if your top 5 guys go 1 for 17 with 11 strikeouts, the manager did exactly what he's supposed to do. I field the best 9. I make the best lineup I can. And now it's the paid talent to go out there and produce. And that's the thing. If Turner, Schwarber, JT, and Harper go out in a game and they go 0 and you lose 2-0, I cannot in any way, shape, or form look at the fact that, well, the manager could have done something differently. I can't look at it that way.
Okay. You just said he's supposed to field the best 9. Well, if he continues to put Rojas out there, he's not fielding the best 9.
Who else do you want out in center field?
Like I said, I mean, I don't care if Schwarber's out in the outfield because you're putting out your best 9. You put Marsh.
You're going to put Schwarber in center field, bro? Is that what you just said?
No, Marsh.
You just said Schwarber. Marsh is hurt.
I put Marsh back out there.
But
Marsh is hurt.
But John, Johan Rojas is the best defensive player on the roster.
That is true. But guess what?
That part doesn't matter. The other half of the game.
There's some great defenders out there that just starters as much as Rojas is their starters because they're not good hitters. He is not proved, and I'm not saying he can't be that player.
Right, I get it.
He deserves to be sent down and figure some things out. And there's nothing wrong with him coming up at the end of July. What's wrong with that? Or the beginning of August. There's nothing wrong with that, because then it happened to Stott. It happened to Boom. It happened to a ton of these guys too, besides the superstars. There's nothing wrong with that.
So, and now to go back to Topper, the biggest problem I had with him last season was his handling of the pitching staff, right? And you go into this season, and I kind of said it in the thread. I think he's like rewiring Major League Baseball right now. He's rewiring baseball in terms of starting pitching, that it's okay for pitchers to go 7 or 8 innings still. If you look at the team this year, you have the quartet of Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, and Christopher Sanchez have combined, just them, 292 and a third innings. I think the next closest was like 170. 180. And that's ballsy for a manager to do in today's baseball. You know what that's telling me?
He's not a good manager.
He's sticking the middle finger up to analytics. That's what he's doing. I think he uses analytics to a point, but he's using his own baseball eye. Like, hey, you know what? I think Aaron can go an extra inning here. You know what? I think Christopher Sanchez, I don't care if he's a 4 or a 5, whatever you might think of him as. I think he can go an extra inning here, give, to where, Alvarado doesn't have to pitch 2 days in a row. Or, I can maybe make sure Sir Anthony Dominguez doesn't touch a baseball tonight. Like, I think he's taking these steps.
Last time that guy pitched?
Whatever it was, we're grateful for it. But I think what he's done year over year, I think the losing in the NLCS and ending the season the way they did last year has really changed how he's managed. And I have to say, why are the Phillies so good this year? Starting pitching. We are dumb. Like, this is like a 1990.
Wait a second. Can I ask a question? So
sure.
I will give him credit.
Hold on. Who are you giving credit to for the starting pitching, Chris?
Oh, that's Topper.
That's
for the trust.
And who is Rob Thompson?
The manager.
Oh, he's the manager. Oh, so the manager's getting credit. Oh, you're giving it credit to the pitching coach that's making them go out and pitch 7 innings? That's making the decision not to pull him out after 5 innings?
Well, I mean,
that's on not on the pitching coach.
Let's see.
Topper makes that decision.
When they're struggling, Compton. So I'm sure.
Do you really think what do you really think they're talking about in Major League Baseball? Do you really think he's the pitching coach because he walks out there and says some sweet words to him in his ear?
He says, "Oh, you're falling off, and you're falling off too much. You're doing this. You're doing that.
Yo, buddy, we want to go get a cheesesteak. Throw a fastball.
That's not how it goes.
Yo, buddy, we got to go get Geno's, bro. We got 30 hoagies waiting for us. 30 cheesesteaks.
They're not saying that, man. If you think that, it's just completely wrong. They're saying what he's doing, what they're doing wrong. And there's times
you're not throwing over the strike zone.
I think Topper looks to Compton at this point too, because he's been so successful recently. And I used to give him crap all the time because I wasn't seeing the improvements. But now with Ranger and with Sanchez, and how
come when they're bad, it's always Thompson, but when they're good, it's never Thompson?
I just said I used to give him crap because I gave Compton crap because I never saw the improvement. Now I'm seeing
but with Thompson, like everything they do wrong it's somehow Thompson, but he did. No, but like he's got to get credit. You got to give him credit for
coach.
How do you not give credit to the head coach when they're one of the best teams in baseball right now? You give them zero credit and say it's all talent.
It's a players league, and besides pitching coach and hitting coach, helping these guys be successful in their craft. What the hell does the manager do?
Okay, still why do you hate him so much though? He puts but why then why do you hate him so much? Because now you're flipping your argument.
I think he makes the wrong decisions a lot of the time, and now I'll give him a ton of credit. He's improved. Like Chris just pointed out, I didn't think of that. He has changed the way he's thinking about starting pitching wise, and I'm going to give him credit for that.
Can I just ask you one question? Did anybody think in 2022 going into that outside of us here? Yeah. Because we're dummies and we're homers and we do that.
Yeah.
Nationally, how many people thought the Phillies were going to make the World Series?
Nobody.
Okay, then our manager, who had the team at bullshit and took them, who is a worse team than the team we have now, took that team to a World Series. That's all I'm saying. he got them well enough to get to a World Series, better than the team we had last year too.
Well, I think there's
or was worse than the team we had last year.
Back to that. There's other
that goes, but like I'm just saying, like he took that team that was worse than this team to a World Series.
And he got a better team that didn't do anything with it. So.
Okay, but now he's got it. But I'm just saying, you're saying he
has a better
not the one
team
doing
that
it.
is the number one team in the league.
But he's doing
what he's supposed to be doing.
Something right. He's doing something right to be doing how good he's doing. Like you can sit here and complain about the 1 or 2 games he may lose me a season. I'm more pissed off at Bryce Harper and Casty and JT for not performing game 6 and say game 7. Like I'm not going to put my hate in a guy that doesn't deserve it at that moment because he didn't move Harper down to 6 and instead of leaving him at 3 and let's move Schwarber down to 8 and move Rojas up to like, no, the guys didn't hit. Has nothing to do with our manager.
So this is where my main problem lies here, and that's with management. And then, we went into this season, like we talked about it so many times, Jay, where we thought that the Phillies were going to make some significant depth moves in the offseason because that's what they really needed to do.
That's really all they needed.
And, they really did nothing. And look, I got to give credit to Dombrowski because he believed, and he said it multiple times on so many different platforms. He's like, look, I'm not going to make a ton of moves because I think the team we have now can still win a World Series. And look,
I think we all knew Sosa though. Like I think I thought they had a good enough bench. I loved Sosa. I thought Witt gave you the flexibility. I think where you're seeing it now is because the outfield and everybody wants to look at the struggles of Rojas and Marsh.
Backup catcher either.
I don't like Stoddard, or I don't like Stubbsy at this point, and I feel bad because my boy, my guy loves him. But
what's JT 33 now?
33.
So I don't
want. He's letting Reese Hoskins steal bases, even though it's a great jump. He's letting Reese steal bases.
I don't want that. I don't want him catching that much. I don't.
He should. Well, at this age, though, you can't. There's nowhere to put him right now. That's the other issue. You can't have him DH every day because I don't want Schwarber in the field every day.
I'd rather have him a lot healthier to play this many games at the end of August and September, and then in the playoff than doing it right now.
His bat's not what it used to be anymore, though. So, like, I'm okay keeping him behind there. Bat's not what it once was.
Yeah, I mean, Yadi Molina, up until he was 33, he caught 147 games, and then at age 34, 136, and then it started to go down significantly.
Well, you're talking about probably the greatest.
What age is JT? He's got to be close to, what's he, 34?
33. And, they posted I don't know if you guys heard McCarthy the other night. McCarthy did say that in the last 8 years, JT Realmuto has caught 1,000 more innings than anybody that's close.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's insane.
That's tough. Like that's hard.
We're starting to see it with him. I mean, his knees bother him. It's years and years of wear and tear on it. I mean, credit to him for doing it every day, but I mean, it's not sustainable. A backup catcher just helps a lot, even just for a pinch hitting situation. If you get a guy who you could throw in the field for an inning or two. I know you can throw Stubbs in certain positions in the field at times, but he's not really that great of a hitter. He's a great bunter, though. I'll give him that one. He is a great bunter, but
since 2015, if you can't take away the COVID season, that man averages 138 starts behind the plate, and that's a lot. And that's a lot. It's just a lot.
Especially for a guy going deep in the playoffs now. And
he goes deep in the playoffs.
Sense to just have a backup catcher to where maybe he's catching 110 games. He takes 20 less games. There's something like I'm not saying for him to split time with a guy, but
we've been talking a lot about Topper, and I want to wrap it up soon. On a regular show, we're at 55 minutes almost. So Dave Dombrowski has a job to do coming up in a month and a half or so at that trade deadline. I don't know what the situation is going to end up being with Taijuan and Turnbull. Turnbull might even get the start in London this weekend, depending on what's going on with Ranger Suarez. But there has to be outfield help. And I look at the offseason, don't have a backup catcher. You came into this season for somehow you still thought that you could get an ROI out of Taijuan Walker. You didn't explore that alley at all. You don't have anybody. I mean, Casty, we know his limitations, and now he's even more limited offensively. You don't have anyone else to put out there. You came into this season with Christian Pache. You still have Brandon Marsh, Johan Rojas, who was not even close to a sure thing. I mean, up until the final hour, most were not sure if Rojas was going to be your starting center fielder. And, they are so sour on Brandon Marsh as a center fielder that Rojas was even in the conversation to begin with. And I think Dombrowski is the guy who we really need to look at in terms of building this roster for the long term. Yes, we all love Edmundo Sosa. I mean, this is who he is. He's a really good player, a super utility player. He goes out, he spends Dombrowski goes out and spends $9 million on Whit Merrifield, knowing he's not going to get significant playing time that he's been used to the last 8 years. So what do you I'll ask you, Jason. We've talked a lot about Topper. What are your thoughts right now on looking at how this roster is right now? And Dombrowski, pretty much in the offseason, didn't really set them up that well, didn't set up his manager that well in terms of depth.
See, I disagree a little bit because I did like the depth. Like I didn't like Pache. I wish they would have gotten something else at outfield, but with Whit being 36. But I think when you looked at last year, like, yes, Rojas struggled in the playoffs, but he hit 306 in the regular season. Marsh had a pretty good regular season offensively. And Casti had, like you said, I think he had his high in RBIs last year. So when you're coming into this season, you actually are looking at an outfield that you like. You think, okay, nobody expected Casti to be where he's at. I don't know if they really expected Rojas' struggle to continue like this. And I don't think everybody saw the decline of Marsh. So to me, going into the offseason, I was really fine. I loved what Sosa did for me. He was a guy I really wanted to get 300 at bats this season.
Yeah.
Whit, I wanted him to say, I said the same thing. I said, Whit and Sosa are guys that need about 300 at bats. Sosa is going to get, with the playing time now. Whit, I'm worried about Whit because you saw him throughout his career as a very good hitter, and he's really struggling not getting the playing time. So I really wonder if there's a correlation there. But yeah, going in, I wasn't really upset. I really liked the team we had. I really thought I wanted to see the whole time where we had our biggest needs, and that's where John says do it now. Like, to me, this is where I was in the beginning of the season. Let's see where we're at come the deadline. So that's why I'm not as concerned, that I'm not as super worried about the outfield, because that's why I wanted to see it play out. Let's not go spend, because you don't really know. You were okay with the outfield, and you didn't expect them to be this bad. So now we know. Now go make a move. Do what you've done throughout your career and go trade some prospects and go get a name.
My do it now philosophy was just it was more of like, let's go out and maybe you guys Matt Beerling right now, and he can platoon, he can bat versus lefties, and what's his name, when Marsh is healthy, he can bat.
He's also a good outfielder,
and he's a solid outfielder. You can also play him at third base, second base, wherever. He's versatile, and he played center field at times too. So my theory is that he's not going to cost you a ton. You ought to get him. Maybe that helps. And maybe him and Marsh out there platooning back and forth. But maybe Marsh has to go in center field sometimes because Rojas can't handle it.
They're 4 games out of the wild card. They're a 500 team. You're talking about
an option. Tommy.
No, I'm saying, but I understand your thing, but all this, to me, I've always been a guy that's where in the group chat when you send stuff, it's always I get the problem. I want a lot something. You give me a solution that to me, the Tucker thing, because Houston's losing. Houston's really struggling this year. Yeah, they got a little hot, but then he's free agent. To me, that's and I don't want a guy that's going to come in platoon. I don't want to do it. Even now, I'm okay. I'd rather see them. I'd rather give them the opportunity to get out of it than go get a platoon guy to come in here and rotate time. Because then, to me, I've said 100 times, they're professionals. You said you're worried about hurting egos. You bring a guy in here to platoon. If I go get Kyle Tucker, everybody knows Kyle Tucker started.
Of course.
I don't want to get let them try to get out of it. We saw what Marsh could do last year. We saw what Rojas could do last year. I get Marsh is hurt, but let them see if they could break out of it. We saw Rojas early in the season have his stints where he's broken out of it. So I don't want to make a move.
Games he's had
I don't want to make a move for making a move's sake, just to switch things up, because that's you're not the team right now.
Well,
you're the second best team in base team.
Can't hit.
But I'm okay with
like
Rojas and Marsh trying to get themselves out of it than going to get a platoon player, giving up any prospect for a guy that's a platoon guy that I'd rather just save my chips and go get a big dog at the deadline.
Makes total sense. All right, so we're all in agreement that, I mean, two-thirds of us are in agreement that John is very wrong about Rob Thompson.
I would agree so. I think that's the conclusion we've come to after an hour of talking.
Yeah. So, okay, look, really cool stat here that Corey Seidman just tweeted out. The Phillies are 17-6 against teams that either have a winning record or would have a winning record if not for their losses to the Phillies. So basically what I read from that is the Philadelphia Phillies are a very, very good baseball team. All right, so since we're done yelling at each other here, I mean, I actually kept my calm. I didn't think I was going to keep my calm that well.
So you're kicked off the show now, buddy.
Yeah, I'm
Get out.
I'm out. All right, so the Phillies take game 1 against the Brewers, guys. They got 2 more tomorrow, Wednesday. Then they got then they're off Thursday and Friday before they head to London to face the Mets in a 2-game set this weekend. What are you looking at for the rest of the week?
I think they'll have 1 loss. Should have 1 loss. I think at least 1. I think the Brewers get 1.
4-0.
You're funny.
Had to get it in there.
Right. So you have a sweep week here.
I think they get 1 loss, but I can also see them sweeping the Brewers and then just losing 1 game to the Mets because it's in London, a different environment. So they just lose 1 just because it just happens.
This dude wants to throw a loss in there. He can't just be positive.
They got to stay on pace, man, for their 2 losses per week.
No, I also think I'm with Jason. I think they should not lose a game this week. So I think they have an undefeated week here coming up.
Who pitches tomorrow?
I just saw it. Damn it. Tomorrow is
Sanchez, right?
Tomorrow's Sanchez, correct. Yep.
And then Nola.
On Saturday.
Is it Nola on Wednesday?
I'm sorry, Wednesday. Wednesday will be Aaron Nola, correct. Yep. There's no pitcher announced for Milwaukee.
So win-win.
No, I think right now it's going to be, if it's not Sanchez on Saturday, then I think it's going to be Turnbull. I don't know who would start on Sunday.
I'd be upset if I was London fans. You don't get to see Wheeler or Nola?
Rangers are going to throw a bullpen tomorrow. They're going to see how he grips the ball. And then that could be a really big tell.
Well, we're getting Walker, so that's a loss. I'm sorry, that's a loss.
Walker's typically a win, though. Outside of Sunday, that was his first loss of the season, bro. Maybe it's because you were there. Was that your? Yeah,
Jay, we were all there.
Well, that's on all of us. Then. We all crapped about that one.
That's funny. All right, guys, head over to SeatGeek.com right now. Use our code RINGTHEBELL for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. And again, as always, head over to Manscaped.com. It's Father's Day coming up, so there's a lot of incredible products over at Manscaped. Use our code baseball20 for 20% off and free shipping off your order. This was fun, boys. The Phillies take game 1 against Milwaukee, probably the best team they faced in a long time, maybe even since
Atlanta
since the Braves, yeah. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. John, go ahead.
One more thing before
as if you didn't have the last 64 minutes to say something.
I just want to say this one thing with election season coming up. John McElroy for Phillies manager. Let's make the Philadelphia Phillies great again.
Yeah, because they're terrible now. All right, so for John McElroy and Jason Kent, I'm Chrissy Francesco. And we'll catch you guys down the road. We'll probably be back here Sunday night after the London series to recap the week.
London.
But thank you guys so very much. And as always, everyone, go Phils.